Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the second day of our Life Science XP Educational Symposium. I am Vicki Brannick. I am the Director for Workforce Strategy and Innovation for Biocom Institute, and we're very excited about our panel this afternoon, which is the Hayward Unified School District, and they're going to be talking about their programs in biomedical pathway work-based learning. I would like to introduce my panelists today, and that is Abraham Mendoza, who is the Workplace Learning Specialist for the Eden Area ROP, Norma Diaz, which is the TOSA Career Pathways Hayward Unified School District, Chris Basco, who's a student at and a Tennyson High School alum with the Hayward Unified School District, Kathrina Miranda, who is the Business Engagement Specialist with the Eden Area ROP, Veronica Ortiz, who is the College and Career Coordinator for Hayward, Daniela Enriquez, who is a student at Tennyson High School. Well, she's a Tennyson High School alum and with the Hayward Unified School District, and Matt Nixon, who's the biomedical science teacher at Hayward. So welcome to our panelists today. And Abraham, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. So we're here to talk a little bit about our relationship with Biocom and Hayward USD and biomedical pathways, and take a little foray into what work-based learning is. So we already met our amazing presenters, and we're here to discuss all the various elements of what makes excellent work-based learning specialists do their job, and the different elements that work in collaboration with each other to make all this work happen. So first and formally, work-based learning for CTE pathways, which are career and technical education pathways, is based on a partnership between Hayward Unified School District, Eden Area ROP, and the Hayward Chamber of Commerce. 6 years ago, these different organizations came together to figure out how to best coordinate local industry to work towards our work-based learning needs at the school district. And in collaboration with Eden Area ROP, we were able to put together work-based learning programs. What work-based learning is an opportunity for students to see how what they're learning in the classroom aligns with what's going on in the workplace. They're learning practical, hands-on skills in the classroom. So we have professionals come in as guest speakers, offer site tours, do job shadows, serve as advisory to our teachers at the sites and at the Eden ROP Center, and also offer summer internships. And through these various means, students are able to see that what they're learning in the classroom in the various pathways, they're able to put into practice and see how what they're learning goes into certain career fields. So the Hayward Chamber of Commerce is a member of Biocom, and we have a lot of biosciences industries in Hayward. So our Kim Huggett, the CEO of the Hayward Chamber of Commerce, joined Biocom to sort of coordinate more of these companies into joining the Chamber of Commerce, as well as joining Biocom, to kind of showcase what Hayward was able to put together in terms of industry as a hub of biosciences. Since we're across the bridge from South San Francisco, there's also a lot of biosciences, biomedical companies in Union City and Fremont. We are a hub of innovation, and we will continue to do so. But we also see the need in trying to create pipelines to these careers at our various school sites, which is part of the reason a lot of these efforts were put together at the educational K through 12 level. So this past year, because of the COVID shelter in place, there was a need for work-based learning to continue. We weren't able to do a lot of the in-person stuff that we had been able to do in the past because we just didn't have those opportunities. We had to get creative. So we went on Zoom and tried to figure out how to best put together work-based learning activities for our students. But unfortunately, a lot of the medical providers, which we had relied with on the past, weren't able to continue on doing work-based learning because they had other priorities. So we had to put our heads together and figure out, how do we continue to do work-based learning? How are we able to do it? And we tapped into the Hayward Chamber of Commerce, and our partner, Kim Huggett, said, why don't you work with Biocom? They have a lot of bioscience companies that could potentially come and talk to your students about bioscience related careers, about things that are in biotech. And, you know, we figured out, and we worked with Biocom and try to figure out the best way to put this together through a Zoom speaker series. So these are some of the companies that we were able to get for work-based learning activities. IPS, Bayer, Gilead Sciences, Oakland Genomics, Pulse Bioscience, and Thermo Fisher Scientific. These companies did an amazing job. The presenters talked about their career fields, talked about what opportunities were at these companies, what the students were learning in the classroom aligned with these particular workplaces. And the students learned that being in a biomedical pathway didn't just mean that they were going in a health or medical career, that there were all these different opportunities in bioengineering, lab work, and all these different flavors of careers that were outside of what they would have normally thought of. And we had biotech in the past, but this was a year that it was a very hard and fast focus of what our work-based learning program was about. So here's what it looks like on our end. Obviously, a lot of you have been on a Zoom call and seen a Zoom presentation, but for our students who are just used to seeing their teachers 24/7 on the Zoom, this was a breath of fresh air. So here, this young lady from Bayer was able to talk about a program she was working on, a project in particular. And since our senior class for biomedical was working on their senior projects, they got to see that, hey, something I'm working on could potentially be something that I could be working on in the future as part of something that a company could buy or a company can help develop, a therapy, a product, pharmaceutical, so to speak. So having the speaker series really opened their eyes to a lot of these types of opportunities. This was another one. This was a Zoom demo by Oakland Genomics. Students were able to see what genomics was, how it related to what they were learning in the classroom about genomics, how people use this research and as part of their career field and what genomics is and what it's used for. So the practicality of the work-based learning and how it related to the classroom teaching, that really helped our students sort of see what they could potentially do with their futures and what they could potentially do with what they were learning in the classroom. So work-based learning gives the students the opportunity to, okay, why am I learning this? Well, I'm learning this because this is what professionals do every day. This is what they do in their workplace. This is the kind of projects they work on. And now I'm going to pass it on to Norma Diaz, our TOSA of Career Pathways, and she can talk a little bit more about how this relates to the career pathways themselves.
Thank you, Abraham. Good afternoon. My name is Norma Diaz, and I've been serving Hayward Unified School District students and families for over 20 years. I started off as an elementary teacher, and now I work with the career pathways and support CTE teachers in education. Hayward Unified School District is comprised of 21 elementary schools, 5 middle schools, 3 high schools, an alternative high school, and a preschool children's center, which we call Helen Turner. We are a very diverse school community of learners with students from various backgrounds and rich cultures. In fact, one of our schools at Tennyson High School has a program called World House that is for newcomers. We support them in their English learning, integrating into a new country and into a new educational system. A lot of those students also come from countries where they don't have schooling. And believe it or not, there are over 23 languages spoken at Tennyson High School, so it's very diverse. We offer multiple programs that prepare students for college and careers. Our focus today is on biomedical science, which is offered both at Hayward High School and Tennyson High School. It is a pathway that empowers students to make a difference in their classroom, in their communities, and around the world. Our students experience hands-on learning that allows them to step into the shoes of professionals and solve problems that they would face in the field. The skills they gain can be applied to any career they choose. And something that makes our pathway stand out, and I'm going to add on to what Abraham said, is our work-based learning. And I like to refer to work-based learning as a seasoning of the classroom, or for a lot of my students, I call it the tapatio hot sauce. It makes things spicy, exciting. It turns something good into better. With work-based learning, students will participate in authentic work interactions like internships, job shadowing, guest speakers. And when our students graduate high school, They leave us having a better understanding of the many careers that are available to them. And as you can tell, I get excited. My heart and family is Hayward Unified School District. We have the best families and students. You will meet two of our alum in a few moments and realize that I'm not making false claims. But now we're going to turn it over to Mr. Nixon, who is our fabulous teacher. And you'll see a picture here. You see the picture here. This is some of the administrators, work-based specialists, and two students who also helped us present one night at the board meeting. And now I'll turn it over to Mr. Nixon so he can give us a little more insight on what happens inside of those fabulous classrooms.
Thank you, Norma. So my name is Matt Nixon. I've been teaching at Hayward High this is my 7th year and 6th year doing biomedical science. And so when this pathway was first being introduced to our district, I was kind of the new teacher in the department and no one really wanted to take on a new class. But I thought that this was really a unique kind of class to teach. And I was only doing biology, same class for 5 periods a day. I wanted something a little different. And the curriculum here really was exciting for a teacher to teach a class like this. Because it's not, they get their academics, they're learning their science, but it's also a lot of very lab heavy, which is exciting as a teacher because you get a lot of new lab supplies, which I didn't have a ton of as a first-year teacher. So that was really cool. But also just the skills that they were learning. We do things in these classes that I personally never did in high school. They're learning techniques like how to streak bacteria on a petri dish to isolate the colonies, doing gel electrophoresis and micropipetting, bacterial conjugation and transformation. These are things that I had never done at that level. And these kids get a chance to do it from their 9th grade year. And so they're also CTE classes. So they're getting their biochem physics. They're taking on 2 science classes each year. So it's a big commitment for the kids, but they get so much information out of it. The kids that go through this pathway, they're ready to study science in college. And we're really trying to prepare them for, career in the health field or bioengineering, epidemiology. There's so many different areas that we expose them to, like Abraham was talking about. And there's a lot of group work. It's really an interactive class. The kids work together, which helps them prepare for having to work in teams, in the workplace. And all of these labs and things are grounded in these case studies, these very real world case studies where they have to apply their knowledge. And so in this biomed class, I don't get a lot of the teacher's favorite question to hear, which is, why are we learning this? You don't get a lot of that in the biomed classes because there's really a context for everything that they're doing. So I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing in these classes each year. So it's a 4-year pathway. They're taking a biomedical course in addition to their core science course each year. 9th grade, we kick it off with kind of a forensics unit, learning about autopsies as well. They have to do this investigation. There's a woman that died. They have all this evidence they have to sort through and really go through that process to figure out what happened. And it's a really great way to draw them in right away to show that this isn't like a typical science course. And the kids really, really enjoy that. And so that sort of sets the stage for these case study type units that we do. But they also get a little bit in 9th grade of clinical care. They kind of play the role of a PCP and have to help some different patients. And we do a little bit with infectious disease, which was really very applicable to our current time. 10th grade, they're going into human body systems. So now it's a lot more anatomy and physiology, more foundational knowledge that's really going to help them in the upper class years. 11th grade, medical interventions. Now we're really focusing on disease prevention and treatment. There's a little bit more of an emphasis on microbiology as well. Their first case study is this outbreak at a college campus that they have to figure out, what's causing it and how can it be, how can they contain it and prevent it from happening again. We get into genetic disorders, and that's where we get into, gene editing and CRISPR. We get into some of these things that are not really widely known yet that may become much more commonplace in the future. And also big cancer in 11th grade, really focusing on innovative cancer treatments, what the future of that might be. And finally, a senior year course, the capstone course, that's an honors course. So they get honors credit for that. And the main goal of the 12th grade course is identifying problems and then proposing solutions. So this is where we're trying to transition them into not just learning about things, but how can we prevent or stop these problems, do something about these problems that we are noticing. So they do things that are very relevant to their community. They put together a community health profile, looking at public health issues and propose solutions. What's the best way to organize an emergency room, and how can we design new medical devices? So there's a little bit of that bioengineering aspect in this year as well. And they also get to go in depth on a topic of their choice for a research paper. So now we're really trying to get all those skills they'll need in college so that they are ready to go once they get accepted into their college or university of choice. And then here you see a picture of one of these field trips that Mr. Mendoza was talking about. This is right here is at Joint Genome Institute, just up the road in Walnut Creek. And it really gives the students a chance to connect, what they're learning to, a bioscience industry that's not far from where they live, where they could potentially work one day. These are 9th graders. We were just learning about DNA, and they get to see all these sequencers and see the, potential technology that they could be working with. So this is an excellent point to transition to Kathrina Miranda from Eden Area ROP, who's going to talk a little bit about work-based learning and the biosciences.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon. So Mr. Nixon is a fabulous teacher at HUSD, and we have really great people working there. So my name is Kathrina Miranda, and I support our dynamic colleagues. I'm a former instructor too in Hayward, so I really valued the lessons in the classroom, especially when it came to work-based learning. Like Ms. Diaz said, this is our hot sauce. This is our tapatio, right? And we really do have the best students and families. So we work closely with industry to develop skills and students for the next level. We have hundreds of employers that we work with, among the ones that Abraham mentioned early on. And we also have an advisory committee to keep training current with industry standards, trends, innovations, up-to-date practices. Our advisors keep our curriculum fresh and relevant for our students. So we also build that amazing pipeline for these companies so they can hire our students. So the thing with work-based learning is that we create a more diverse pool of future bioscience professionals, right? We work with many underserved students. I think 92% minority in Hayward. Norma, you can correct me if I'm wrong. We build college and career-ready students for bioscience labor needs, and that's where our advisory comes in. And our work-based learning consists of activities where students learn, develop, and also train, right? So even with last year, our shelter in place, as Abraham mentioned, we still coordinate over 20,000 work-based learning opportunities across our pathways. And we continue to pivot whatever situation we're in. And it is now my pleasure to introduce Veronica Ortiz, who leads our college and career services at HUSD, and she could tell you about this amazing photo.
Good afternoon. So this is our first graduating class of the Biomedical Pathway Program. As you can see, it's quite a large class. It's 2 classes, one from Tennyson High School and one from Hayward High School. So industry partnerships are vital in developing our career pathway programs. Stakeholders support and enhance the classroom learning experience when students are able to participate in work-based learning opportunities. Our stakeholders are also able to advise us on the current industry trends and advancements. When our local companies are able to partner with us in these programs, our regional workforce needs are addressed. So this really provides a win-win for a highly skilled workforce. Our students' development, their growth, and their success in our pathway programs are a direct correlation of our collaboration with our industry partners. When industry partners collaborate with us, it provides our students with real-life work experiences where they can apply their academic and technical skills and also develop their employability. So we're going to invite you, our industry partners, to please join us in creating tomorrow's workforce together. So how can you help? We invite you to host an intern, serve as the guest speaker to discuss your career pathway or maybe a special project that you have going on at your job. Provide a demo related to a subject in the classroom, or be part of our advisory and advise the teacher on the state of the industry. So we placed a link to an industry partner form. So if you're interested in supporting our work-based learning efforts, we invite you to please fill out that form. And again, the link is in the chat. So now I get the best part. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce our two VIPs. We have Daniela and Chris, two of our Biomed alum students, joining us to discuss the value of work-based learning. So our first student speaker will be Daniela Enriquez, and she is currently attending CSU Sacramento.
Good afternoon. My name is Daniela Enriquez. I'm a first-generation student attending Sacramento State, as Veronica said. I'm currently studying biomedical sciences in hopes of attending medical school in a few years. The biomedical pathway in Tennyson was a great program that provided education about the medical field and academic resources. I was part of this program for 4 years. During those 4 years, I was able to have internships that allowed me to gain experience. I was able to become an intern in a retirement home. Having this opportunity allowed me to learn how to work with patients, staff, and develop new skills such as charting patient records. Another internship I was able to be a part of was Youth Bridge. This program gave internship opportunities to students in the 10th to 12th grade, but I was able to be a part of it because of the biomedical pathway coordinators as a freshman. Having this internship opportunity allowed me to gain knowledge about the medical field and develop public speaking skills. Being part of this biomedical pathway, I was able to experience great internships throughout my high school experience and now gain new skills I'm currently using in college. Because of this program, I am now on my EMT certification and volunteering with organizations. I will now introduce Chris Bosco. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Daniela, for your talk. My name is Chris Basco, and I attended Tennyson High School last year, graduated from there in 2020, and I am currently a freshman student attending Stanford University. I am both absolutely honored and excited to be presenting to you all today about 4 years experience with Project Lead the Way Biomedical Science and the value of work-based learning. I'll start with a little background on how I found myself interested in biomed. As a child, I was always curious about the STEM field and with its infinite capabilities and its pursuit for certainty and truth, all the while maintaining an outlet for creativity, innovation, and questions. But surrounded with the vast ocean of possibility with science, I didn't really know what I wanted to specifically seek. That is, until I discovered biomed. Initially, I did not expect much, just another science class, I thought, as an 8th grader signing up for his high school courses. Yet, biomed's classes came to be some of the most stimulating and enriching I've taken with respect to the entirety of my educational career. While we certainly had to take notes, conduct labs, and study for exams like the usual science class, biomed distinguished itself by introducing realistic case studies to uniquely frame every lesson, every unit, and every chapter. For instance, my first year delved into the workings of forensics, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. But how could all of these things be possibly connected? Through a simulated crime scene headlining the death of a fictional woman named Anna Garcia, where my cohort and I were tasked with analyzing various causes of death through biomedical science. With such vivid scenario and imaginative incorporation of concepts, we students were able to be immersed and motivated like never before, all of us working to achieve a common end goal. Yet, that wasn't all. Amazingly, biomed had even more to offer, a work-based learning experience. Work-based learning seeks to prepare students for the workplace by connecting to the classroom to real-life workplace experiences. Biomed readily delivered through three primary avenues: field trips, guest speakers, and workplace opportunities. For most students, field trips are always an exciting occurrence, being away from the usual classroom scene. With Biomed, such time did not go to waste, as we engaged in job shadowing and exploration of workplace facilities, from the local food industry to a community hospital. One of my most memorable workplace visits was during my third year to Kaiser Permanente's Garfield Innovation Center, where I was able to witness the innovations of medical care in real time. I recall role-playing as a surgeon's assistant, fully geared in scrubs, gloves, and a cap, in addition to finding myself in the same room as a laboring mother giving birth. All scripted, but nonetheless riveting and impressive. Secondly, Biomed further prepared the workplace environment by inviting professional guest speakers to share their occupational experiences. I remember being in awe when food technologists from Memphis Meats presented their cell-grown meat that aims to save animals and our planet, with their first meatball reportedly costing tens of thousands of dollars of research, equipment, and labor. Finally, Biomed's dedicated mentors sought out workplace connections for us students, and many of my peers, like Daniela, volunteered and/or interned at local hospitals and other organizations, developing technical and practical skills for the workplace. Similar to Biomed's creative construction of lesson plans, the inclusion of work-based learning allowed for greater interaction and enthusiasm with the class material. Going beyond mere reports and textbooks, work-based learning empowers students with a unique kind of enrichment that demonstrates functional application of our knowledge before our very eyes. Amidst all of these novel opportunities, I was able to compile my previously cloudy thoughts towards a more clear direction. I am now aspiring to become an ophthalmologist, a physician specializing in the human eye. In addition, while in college, I'm actively seeking to further my workplace knowledge and abilities by seeking opportunities in the workforce. Yet, work-based learning has not only granted me insight career-wise. Throughout the process, I was constantly reminded that health is a fundamental aspect of human life. Being able to notice and reflect how it is intertwined with everyday life allows me to ensure the well-being of myself and others. With Dr. Benjamin Lerman, an ER physician who presented to our cohort, I did not only learn more about triage and emergency rooms. I realized that I wanted to be a happy doctor, able to do my job as he does with his own. Being mentors, leaders, and innovators in your respective fields, I hope that all of you will advocate and contribute towards work-based learning and its flourishing potential. Once again, I am honored to have been part of this inspiring journey, and it's truly, truly proud to be able to share my story with all of you. Thank you to my mentors for guiding me and my cohort to where we are today. Thank you to Biocom for hosting this fantastic and informative platform. And thank you all so much for your attention. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, everybody. I don't know, Abraham, we've got some questions here for the group, so we have a few minutes. I'd like to read those off to you if you don't mind. How did you connect with your biotech partners in the community?
So we typically work through our Chamber of Commerce partners, but sometimes we go to local events like mixers, industry conferences, and we really pitch for what our work is. And with students like Chris, it's relatively easy because they do a lot of the work for us because they really show what we're building and we're able to put together. But mostly it's industry outreach. It starts with cold calls, but sometimes it's networking, going to mixers, going to conferences, wherever we can find people who are interested in working with us.
Fantastic. And I think, you know, if any of you that are listening to today's session, if you're interested, please reach out to Biocom Institute as well. We can help you with that. We did help. We were able to help connect Abraham and his team to some of the companies that they might not have had access to. So we're happy to assist with that as well. Another question: how are students selected for the program at the beginning of their high school career?
Norma, I think you can handle this one.
So what we do is we go to all of our feeder middle schools and we present to students. Usually we go into the science classrooms, present to them, give them information. There's also other programs like Puente and Avid that come with us, engineering. So they actually get to hear a lot of programs present, and we give them a sheet where they get to have information, facts about all the programs, and then they see what meets their needs, what calls out their attention. After that, we have the students apply through our website, a quick little application, and then we interview our students to see which ones are.
It looks like she got disconnected there. What she was going to say is once we do a vetting and an evaluative process, we're able to vet for the final list of students. And after programming with the high schools, we're able to place them in the schools. Usually we have teacher feedback at that point to make sure we're correlating with their needs. And after that, Mr. Nixon or Miss Kelly at Tennyson takes over.
Excellent. So hopefully Norma will be able to jump back in with us before we end our session. How many students start in the 9th grade cohort? And maybe you could also talk about just how many students overall are in the program as well.
Matt, you could speak to that.
Yeah, so our first cohort, and it's a little bit different between the two high schools. The high school I'm at, Hayward High School, usually has a few more students participating than Tennyson High School, but so I can mostly speak for my site. Our first cohort, we started with about 55 students, I want to say, between 55 and 60, right around there. And I believe we ended with 36, 37 graduating from that. So we had pretty good retention considering it was the very first time we had that pathway. So generally, I've seen our 3 senior classes. We've had 36 and about 30-ish for each cohort. Sometimes most of our attrition comes from students just moving out of the district. It's pretty rare that they just not wanting to do it because of the subject matter. So and I think that is a testament to how well our recruiting process is and showing what the program's going to be like. So we really get students that are going to be interested from the get-go.
Fantastic. Another question a little bit related to the students are, do students get ROP credit or traditional science credit?
Yeah, Veronica, you can probably speak to this.
So yes, for some of the courses, they get what is more commonly known as CTE credit and science credit. And all of those courses are A through G. And like you heard Matt Nixon mention, the last course, the 12th grade course, is an honors course as well.
And I'm hoping I'm understanding this question correctly. Can Puente double with biomed, or is that too much?
Typically, we only have them pick one program because of the way programming happens at the high school level. They're not able to take such a heavy lift of courses because some of these programs are cohorted. So they have to take another class on top of their CTE biomedical course. So students are very well aware of that. That's why we spend a lot of time when we do our recruitment efforts at the middle schools and at the high schools, letting them know about the different options, but how they fit into their schedule as well.
However, I just want to add that in middle school, we were actually the first district to implement Puente in middle school. So we would hope that the students participated in Puente in middle school, and then when they move to high school, they can be part of the career pathway program and then still be a part of Puente, like the Puente Club, and just still be a part of that community.
Great. And I have a question for our two alumni students. What was the thing? I mean, I know Chris, you spoke a little bit about this, and Daniela as well. But what was the thing that really made you decide that you wanted to continue down this pathway after attending this program? Was there any like point of inspiration for that?
Yeah, I can go ahead and speak on that first. So again, going into this, as a child, I've always been interested in the sciences, and seeing how my high school was offering this 4-year program, 4-year long program in biomedical science, was already kind of like a compelling point for me. But you ask, why did I keep going with it? So just again, the overall format of the class, how it's framed in such a unique way. It's not just, okay, guys, we're moving on to the next chapter, going from, say, molecular structures to cell biology, et cetera, et cetera. It's all connected and intertwined in such a neat way that keeps you motivated in going through all the material, and seeing that implemented in my first class, in addition to having such friendly peers and such a great mentor, Miss Kelly. It definitely made me want to say, okay, I want to see how this keeps going with the next couple of classes. I know they're on different topics, but let's give this a shot. And again, first, second, third, and fourth year, man, all of it was a blast. I mean, yes, my fourth year kind of, even when my fourth year kind of, for all of us, COVID-19 shifted the scape of the workforce and education as we know it. But my mentor, Miss Kelly, did such a wonderful job in taking that that sudden shift in everyday life and actually using it to as an enriching and enlightening moment for our final class. So as some of our speakers have mentioned, the fourth year is more of a capstone, consists of a capstone project. And because of the COVID-19 pandemic, all of us of my cohort that year took to different sectors in the health and medical field and observed how COVID-19 had relevance, for instance, with those with underlying conditions such as diabetes, asthma, and me and my partner personally pursued the social implications of COVID-19. And so just to see, I guess, how adaptive and flexible and dedicated this biomed has been, it just kept me going and inspiring me to do more. And truly, I will never be able to completely make it up to them for how for where I am today. And so yeah, and I guess Daniela, you can go ahead and add on.
Yes, I completely agree with Chris. I joined Biomed at first because I love science, and I just didn't want to join Puente or Avid because they did focus a lot on writing and English that I personally do not like. So I wanted something like that would challenge me, and Biomed truly challenged us every single year with different projects, with different hands-on experiences that we were able to do with different groups. And I just love how we always gathered all our information at the end of the semester or year. We were able to find out why it was important and how it related all together.
Well, that's so exciting. And I don't know, Abraham, if you have, or if any of the other speakers have anything that you'd like to add to this. That's all of the questions that we have right now. I have put the URL address up at the top of the chat so that everyone can see that. So if you have any questions for this group, if you think about it afterwards, please be sure and reach out to them as well. And I believe you are all in the attendees area, so that they should have your contact information there.
I'd like to add something. I mean, as you heard from Chris and Daniela and even Mr. Nixon, I mean, this is something they carry for them for life. I mean, they remember these experiences. I mean, if you want to make an impact in a student's life, be a guest speaker, host an intern, host a site tour, because I mean, a lot of them are trying to figure out what they're going to do with the rest of their lives. And sometimes it takes one talk, one speaker, one site tour, one internship experience to show them what's available to them. I mean, we've had a lot of guest speakers in the past, and they've made a difference in different students' lives. I mean, there's guest speakers that I've invited and thought, oh man, no one's going to be interested in this guy. And all of a sudden it's like 5 students are like, oh, that's the best guest speaker I've ever heard. And I'm like, oh, okay. It takes all kinds. And you know, these students are really motivated. They're dedicated. They're enthusiastic about the biosciences, and you know, we want to make sure that they have professionals that are part of their lives that care. And if they see somebody other than teachers and administrators out there, it can really make a difference. And I mean, Chris and Danielle are examples of that. I mean, I saw them grow up when they were like little freshmen into like the adults they are today, the upstanding citizens they are today. And it's made a difference in my life being able to coordinate this work. It's such a valuable experience for them and for the teachers to kind of connect the dots. And you know, we're trying to build dreams here and build careers, and it's a big job, but the payoff is amazing. And have that be part of your life.
I think that's such an important point, because you never know what is going to spark a student and what they're going to resonate with. And so just having that, like for speakers who might be hesitant to say, oh, I don't know that anyone's going to really think my job is very cool. You just can't assume that, because all of these, everyone has something that excites them, right? I have one kind of follow-up question, I think, Abraham, to what you were from our listeners. How many guest speakers do students hear annually?
I think, I mean, we try to provide at least 1 to 2 per month per class, but this has been an unusual year. And because of the amount of classroom time available to Zoom, we had to seriously curtail it to at least 1 a month per class. But you know, it certainly depends on the teacher's bandwidth, but I've worked with these teachers for 4 or 5 years, so I know at what touch points to connect with them throughout, because, you know, it's important to work with the teachers, because they're the ones that know what they're teaching, what topics are being discussed, and how to best connect to career speakers. So I would say 1 to 2 a month on average.
Excellent. And I think that was the last question that we had. So we're right on time. Thank you all so much. As I said, if you have any questions for any of the panelists, go to on the HUVA site. You can look under attendees and look up their name and be able to interact with them directly. But we thank you so much, Chris and Daniela. You were incredibly inspiring, and Mr. Nixon, the whole group, everybody is doing such a fantastic job. And you know, you can just visually see our scientists of tomorrow, right, in this room. So thank you so much. And I invite you all to please stick around for our networking event after our sessions this afternoon. And if you have any questions, be sure and reach out on the community chat. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.